What is up, bodyweight warriors, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over an updated front split routine. The last one, again, a couple of years ago now, certainly worthy of an update. So I will link to the original one in the description down below, as well as my app Tribe, in which this routine is based off the first workout in the front split program in there, which again, you can get in the description down below. Other than that, let's jump into this routine. For today's video, you are going to want some equipment for once, and that piece of equipment is some form of stick. I've got my my vacuum cleaner because I didn't have a stick with me, but a broomstick handle or something will do nicely. Just needs to be solid enough to do a little bit of soft tissue work at the beginning of this routine. I would also recommend having some yoga blocks or a bolster or some cushions as well to pad out some different movements. So we're going to kick things up with just a brief warm up here of greasing the groove, moving around a little bit, brushing off the rust. So we're going to start with some hip swivels, legs out in front, just outside shoulder width. We're going to drop both legs to the right hand side, one into external, one into internal rotation. Trying to keep the chest facing forward. Swivel back, swivel round. Nice and simply. We're just going to do 10 per side. So pausing very briefly on each. We're just moving those legs in and out of internal and external rotation. Today's routine is more of a beginner front split routine, but beginner doesn't mean that you can do this at any level. It just doesn't make sense. I would highly recommend having at least palms to floor in a pike position before doing this routine. If you can't do that, then probably your time is better spent on something like the hamstring routine available on the channel, the follow alongs. I'll link to that as well down below. And just getting to that kind of adequate level of hamstring flexibility before you kind of jump into front split work. Certainly doing a little bit of hip flexor stretching will still be useful. I've completely lost track of where I was, but I'm going to do 4 more, so 2 per side, just for good luck. Nothing wrong with a little bit of an extra warm up. Right, so from here, we're gonna shake it off a little bit, and I'm gonna come into kind of a squat position, and we're just gonna do some transitions from squat into pike. So you can come down into as deep a squat as you want to. Obviously, if you can sit in a full squat, that's fine. If you're more up here, and it's just a bit of a shorter, brief back and forth movement, that's also fine. We're just gonna do 10 of these in total. Again, just passing through a nice full range of motion, dipping in and out of that pike position. As we go up, we're going to try and keep that contact between our chest and our thighs. So use those hip flexors, those quads to try and pull yourself in a little deeper. Got 7 now, so 10 in total. Pausing for a few seconds on that pike. And just going to do 1 more. And then from this pike position, we're just going to walk ourselves out into a bit of a downward dog. And then we're just going to shift forward into an upward dog position. And we're just going to sit here for a second. Let's just get a little light stretch over hip flexors, but nothing too intense really. Right, what we're going to do to kick this routine off properly is we're going to test our front split. We're going to see where it's at for the day, and then we can do the routine, and then we can test it afterwards. Now, I would expect that to be a decent improvement in front split, because ultimately we're going from very little warm-up to having a couple of sets of warm-up by the end of the routine. But either way, it's nice to see how those positions change in the routine. So we're going to start. For this one, I'd maybe grab a video, grab a phone so you can yourself have a look at how your position feels, or just feel it out, see how the position feels. Use like a yoga block to kind of gauge the depth that you're getting with this one. So let's start with right leg forward. I'm filming this early in the morning, so let's see how the flexibility is. So I can quite comfortably get yoga block. Nice. And just keep dropping down. Okay. So that feels probably on what I'm comfortable dropping into without much of a warm up. Same thing on the other side, left leg forward. pretty comfortable to one yoga block. Pretty comfortable down. Not sure this side wants to go as low as the other one. We'll see. Not too bad. And you will probably have a difference between sides, but it's just good to test that position. Feel how it feels, feel where you're feeling the stretch. You're feeling it in your hamstring, you're feeling it in your hip flexor. Ultimately, the front split is all about the hip flexor, really. Hamstring flexibility will get you so far. But just take note, take a video, find that starting point, then we'll do the proper routine. So, as I said, we're going to start off with some soft tissue work. Now, for the soft tissue work, we're going to do Kit Laughlin's stick drill. For this one, we're going to be sat on our knees. So if this isn't particularly comfortable for you, you're going to want to maybe get some cushions just to put underneath your top of your ankles. I'll make it just a little bit more of a comfortable position to sit in. You're going to grab your stick, and we're going to start off, and we're going to place it as close to our kneecaps as we can, and we're just going to sit back and ease ourselves onto it. So we can put, obviously, our full weight here, but we want to put as much weight as feels comfortable in this position. So this is going to give us a nice bit of soft tissue between predominantly the calf, but also the hamstring as well. So we're going to sit here, we're going to do probably about 2 minutes, and over that 2 minutes we're just going to move this stick further down the calf. Really, this one is just about embracing the suck, sitting here and just trying to feel out how this feels. So you might find that, like, as we get to different points on the calf, so if I just roll this down a little bit, we're going to find, you know, some more tender points, some less tender points. So I would just spend a little bit more time on points that feel tender. Doesn't feel too bad, just skip over that area a little bit. So we're now about 45 seconds in. So I said about 2 minutes in total. So just, you know, spend 15-20 seconds, move the stick down a little bit more. We obviously don't need to go all the way down to base of the ankle. Just about a minute, so about halfway. This was a drill that was in one of my beginner hamstring routines. It's been it's a good one if I'm doing some front split or some hamstring work. This is a good one as a warm up because it just increases that pain tolerance for the hamstring and calves, which is useful. So I'm at quite a tender spot now, so I'm just going to sit here a little bit longer for about 90 seconds. So I've got about 30 seconds more. Kind of move this one at your own pace. Okay, we've got another 15 seconds or so. You're going to get a bit further down the calf. I probably would take this about halfway down your calf. Obviously, you can go all the way down. Maybe pause the video if you want to spend a little bit more time on this one. But to be honest with you, 2 minutes should be enough to get kind of the effect that we're after. Right, I think that's the end of the 2 minutes. We can put that stick to one side. And we can shake things off a little bit. Should go back into like a downward dog. Should feel a little bit more comfortable. As I said, again, it's increasing that pain tolerance a little bit, which is definitely part of it. So we're going to start off with our first superset, and we're going to do a glute stretch. So we're going to come into that 90-90 position. So we're going to bring this front leg out at 90 degrees, knee bent to 90 degrees, back leg out at 90, bent to 90. Nice and simple. We're then going to try and hinge forward, keeping that sternum over that front knee until we feel like a point of stretch. Again, hinging, not rounding. I'm going to try and roll that pelvis, sit that stomach forward. From here, we're just going to do a little bit of pin up. So we're going to try and press that knee down into the ground for 5 seconds. So press it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And reach a little bit deeper forward. Just going to do 3 of these. So press down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Relax a little bit deeper. And then the last one here, press down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to hold this bottom position, try and get as far forward as we can for about 5 to 10 more seconds. Oftentimes the glutes can be a bit of a limiter when it comes to our hamstring flexibility, hip flexibility. So we're just gonna help loosen those up a little bit beforehand. We're just gonna swivel around to the other side now. So same as that hip swivel to warm up with. Again now, left leg, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. And again, hinge forward over that front leg, sternum going over the knee. We're gonna do 3 of those PNF reps. So again, press that knee down into the ground. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shift it a little bit further forward. Do another one here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shift a little bit further. We'll do one last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, head in the plant. We're going to spend 5-10 more seconds here, just in this end position stretch. Cool. We're now going to shift some attention to the hamstrings. So we're actually going to come to a standing position for this one, and we're going to go into a stride stance. So I'm going to place my right leg forward, my left leg back, about a step between, about a meter between. I'm going to keep the front leg straight, and we're going to try and do a good morning position. So we're going to try and push that hip backwards, keep the back kind of neutral, but again, it's this pushing the hip backward, pulling the leg of the femur, the leg back into the hip socket, so feeling like I'm going to drag my foot backwards. I'm just going to reach as far forward as I can, and then come back up to that top position. So we're going to do 10 per side. Push the hip back, pull the leg back into the socket, reach the chest down, come back up, and we're going to hold that last position for 10 seconds. You can do this one with weight. I don't have weight with me. It is kind of better, I guess, but it's not essential. Probably the main focus here is, again, that pulling the head back of the femur, trying to almost like lift the leg, but try to contract the quad in that bottom position. A little bit of rounding is not a bad thing here. 8. 9. And the last one we're going to hold for 10 seconds in the bottom position. So we're going to hold forward and try to almost like we can actually do this one by trying to reach as far as we can towards the ground. Obviously not touching the ground, just trying to reach to a point at which you can't quite touch. 2 and 1. Swap sides. So left leg forward, right leg back. Left leg stays straight. Same thing. Push the hip backwards. Pull the leg back into the socket, reach down, neutral spine as much as you can, a little bit of rounding is not a problem, and come back. 10 again, and then pause for 10 seconds. So in this bottom position especially, try to feel like that, you remember we mentioned about the beginning, that thigh, that stomach gap, try to feel you closing that gap between the legs. So 10 of these in total. 2 more here. Just pause them for a couple of seconds in that bottom position as well. So last one, bottom position. We're going to try and reach forward if we can do, obviously not touching the floor, but just trying to reach as far forward to see what we can touch. Keep reaching, putting that hip back into the socket. 2 and 1. And take a step back and come into, again, a bit of an upward dog position. That's the first round complete for the glute hamstring. We're going to do another one just for good luck. This time though, we're gonna do it in a pigeon position. So depending on how good your pigeon is, you might want to have some support. So the support would be done underneath the knee of the front leg. So trying to keep starting in a lunge position, we drop the knee to the side, and then depending on how high the support is here will mean, you know, the higher it is, the easier it is. We want to find, we don't want to be wriggling around in discomfort in this position. We want to be able to sit there and get a good stretch out of it. So I'm going to use just one yoga block on the side. So come to that lunge position. Try to keep as much as possible this front leg knee angle to around 90 degrees. A little bit less isn't a problem. That will ensure we get a better stretch out of it. And once we're in this position, we want to stay nice and tall with the chest. And then what we're going to try and do is we're just trying to twist into this front leg. So we're going to try and twist as much as we can, trying to move that torso around. And then when we do that, we're going to try and feel like we're pulling this front leg back into the socket. So we're going to hold that for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come back to center. Try to relax a little bit. I'm going to do another one of these, just one more. So twist to the side. Get that chest turning through as much as you can do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we're just going to come back to that center position. And we're just going to hold this for another 10 seconds. And then we're going to switch sides. So it's important here as well. Like a lot of people do pigeon over here. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but we want to, in this instance with the front split, stay nice and upright and sit into it. Right, come out of that one. Swap sides. Again, I'm just going to use this block because for me, if I go to the floor, obviously I can do it, but I'm too focused on the discomfort to really feel that twisting position, that pulling the leg back into the socket, which is what that drill is after. So don't get too ego involved with this one. Don't feel like you need to do more than you can. Left leg forward. And take a little walk around and try and twist that left hand side. Feel like you're pulling this leg back into the socket. Hold for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And back to that front position. Hold for 5 seconds. Again, try to chill out on this one a bit. Should be more intense as you twist to the side, less intense holding this straightforward position. So let's go a twist one more time. So 10 seconds, 10, 9, keep twisting as far around as you can. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And back to that center position, just for another 10 seconds. Just breathe. Keep the breathing controlled and just make sure you can sit in these positions. That's done for that one. I'm going to come back up to those good mornings again. We're going to do one more set per side and then we'll move on to some hip flexor stretching. So again, stride stance, right leg comes forward, left leg back, straight right leg, hinge down, pushing the hips backwards, reaching forward with the hands, and then come back up. So I want you to start implementing that reach on every single rep on this one, so we get to use that hip flexor, trying to pull us deeper into the stretch. Remember 10 of these, and a 10-second pause. One more here, and we're gonna hold that 10-second pause in that last position. So reaching as far forward as you can, but pulling that hip back at the same time. Keep reaching. 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back up. Gonna swap sides now. So right leg back, left leg forward, same thing, 10 reps. Reach down, pull the hips back, reach the hands forward, come back up. So I would say incorporating a little bit of rounding on this second set is not a problem at all. We're just trying to develop that end range. A couple more. Last one, so we're gonna hold for 10 seconds. Keep holding, keep reaching as far forward as you can. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Same thing. Step back briefly into downward dog. Come forward into an upward dog. So we've done some work on the hamstrings. We're now going to turn our attention to the hip flexors. We're going to start off actually with just one warm-up stretch, which is just to help with the quads, because quite often the quads can cause a lot of restriction in this position. So we're going to do right leg first. I'm just going to turn around so you can see. So we're going to start on seated. We're going to grab our right leg, going to bring it round into what would be a quad stretch. And we're just going to try and sit back into this position, so come back onto your elbows. But whilst I'm doing this, I'm going to try and think about squeezing my glute and pushing my hip upwards. I'm just going to hold this position for 30 seconds. Nice and simple. Obviously, the further you come back, the more stretch you're going to feel over the quad. But this one, we're just focusing on using that glute just to stabilize this position and hold. Get a little bit of a sweat going on this one, which is kind of different to the usual stretching routines. Usually they're a bit more chilled out, but as I said, the ones that are in the app, they're more akin to strength training than anything. Cool, finish that side. As I said, just a brief stretch on this one. So you can stay lying down in the same position, grab that left leg, bring the left leg back, lean back onto the elbow, make sure you're squeezing that glute, pushing the hips up and diagonally away from the foot. Keep holding. It's another 10 seconds here. And relax. Right, so we're going to do some long lunges. So we're going to start with our right leg back, left leg forward. We're going to come into a nice lunge position. Nice long lunge. So as long as you can comfortably feel. So the longer we go, the harder this becomes. And then from here, we're just going to turn this, similar to the stride stance good morning, into like an active position. So I'm going to try and lift my knee off the ground. I'm going to do that by squeezing this glute on the back leg. Or I can think about pushing that heel backwards. But important to note, when I extend the leg, my hips are staying pretty much level. If you extend the leg and have to lift up, this isn't exasperating the stretch over the hip flexor. So we want to try and lift, push that hip back, but we also want to try and feel like we're going to pull this knee up or try to pull our hips down as we do that. That's the key to this exercise. If you want to, you can get a bit of support as well, so you can feel like you're going to be solid on that and you're going to really focus on keeping those hips nice and low. We're going to do 10 reps followed by a 10-second hold. Nice and simple. So If you're ready, nice long lunge position. Further you go back, more intense this is. 10 of those, couple of seconds pause on each rep. So push the heel back, squeeze the glute, and come back down. Try to keep those hips nice and low here. That's the focus. Even if it means you lift the knee a little bit less, that's fine. Really think about squeezing that glute on the back leg. Seven now. And a couple seconds pause on each rep. So 9. And last one, we're going to hold for 10 seconds. So last one, lift, squeeze that glute, keep those hips nice and low, chest nice and upright as well. Another few seconds here. 3, 2, 1. And then we're just going to swap sides. Super simple. So again, come to that long lunge position. Again, focus on getting into a nice deep lunge. Think about pushing that ankle backwards, keeping the hips nice and low. And we're going to do another 10 reps, 10-second pause. A couple seconds on each rep, hold, and come back down. Chest nice and upright with this one. Really focus on that glute engagement on the back leg. It's going to be the key to helping you unlock those hip flexors. So a couple more here. Obviously do it in your own time if you are counting. Now get ready. Last one, we're going to hold for 10 seconds. Squeezing that glute on the back leg as hard as you can, but pulling those hips down at the same time. Keep holding. 4, 3, 2, 1. And we can relax. We're gonna just relax. We're gonna come back into just a little bit of child's pose, just for 10 seconds or so, and a lot of extension at the hips, so just a little bit more of a relaxed position. We're going to do one last one of exactly the same as we just did, and then we're going to retest our front split. We're going to see how it's improved over this period of time. So whilst we're having a quick relaxing rest here, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. If you have any requests for future follow-alongs, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below. I would highly appreciate it. Obviously, I make these videos for you guys. I obviously enjoy doing them, but I want to make something that you need and you want to do. So let me know. It's the best way to go about it. Right, last set. Right leg back, left leg forward. Again, so last time, try to go a little bit longer with our stance. So shuffle that front leg out, that back leg back. Use the support if you want to. Glute squeeze, lift that leg. Keep those hips nice and low. 10 seconds. Oh, sorry, 10 reps and then 10-second hold. And a couple of seconds hold on each rep. I can't exaggerate how much you need to squeeze that glute to help open that hip flexor up. So 2 more for me. This last one, I'm going to hold for 10 seconds. Driving that hip back, squeezing the glute. 3, 2, 1. Very nice. Swap sides. Right leg comes forward. Again, go into that little bit longer lunge if you can do. 10 reps again, couple seconds pause. And then 10 seconds to the last rep. couple more here. So now, last rep. I'll let it give a little more time for anyone who needs to reach it. 10-second isometric. And lift. Keep holding. 3, 2, 1. Awesome, right. We're gonna come back into a little bit of an upward dog. Oh. Relax those hip flexors a little bit. Back into our child's pose. And then we're gonna do, as I said, that front split test, just as we did beforehand. It's important you just fill this one out. Use your phone, your camera, whatever it is that you did beforehand, whether you did like me, the yoga block, as that reference point, which I covered in a fairly recent video about measuring your flexibility. And then also, of course, the feeling as well. So, I'm gonna test my right leg forward. Hopefully we get a little bit lower than this, but again, I'm not gonna push it. I'm not gonna expect anything, because when we push our flexibility past what we actually can do on the day, our body's telling us something at the end of the day, that's when bad things happen. Okay, so for me, quite comfortable there. Move the support up a little bit. Don't think I'm gonna get flat, maybe. Let's see. So, an all right looking split, I think. Probably about an inch away from the floor for me on that right hand side. I'm gonna try the other side. Same thing. So slide down into it. Again, a little bit more comfortable. Certainly the hips feel pretty square, which is always a good sign with front split. Let's move that support back a little bit. See if we can. Yeah, about an inch as well on this side. So not flat for me, but by no means necessarily bad. That is where I'm going to cut this follow along off. But what I would recommend to you, for those of you at home who really want to get your front splits, is I would spend another 5 minutes here and I would sit in a front split. So not necessarily your max range there. So for me, that was about an inch off the floor. I would bring it up to maybe this level. So this is a comfortable level that I could have sat at. I'd sit in that stretch for maybe 30 to 60 seconds per side. I'd just do a couple of sets of that just to reinstate that range of motion after the work we've just done trying to develop it further. So that's my recommendation for you. I'm personally not going to do that because this is a little bit more of a beginner focused routine. So I'm not necessarily expecting people to be at that position, but if you are at that position, that would definitely be something worthwhile doing. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is the first level in the Tribe front split routine on the app, which again, you can grab in the description down below if you want the rest of the levels to take you all the way to front split with some other different routines and techniques as well. If you do have any more suggestions, as I mentioned, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you just enjoyed this video, enjoyed this follow along, it really does help support the channel if you hit that thumbs up button, and right next to it is that subscribe button where you can join the Bodyweight Warrior Tribe. Don't miss out on any more future videos, future follow alongs, all of that sort of good stuff. But that's basically been it for this week, guys. Catch you in the next episode. Have a strong week, and